Okay, this is the tutorial for cutting out the cardboard for the virtual reality headset. So the first step is to cut out your template. Now most people will start with 3 sheets, a pair of scissors, and you're going to cut out just the extra paper. You don't have to cut right on the lines. You're going to cut outside your lines so you can actually still see the lines that you're going to follow with a knife. But you're cutting away the extra paper so we don't have to glue an entire sheet of paper down on the cardboard, and we can kind of fit these in. And you'll see on the instructions it says print the template, glue the template onto cardboard, and then glue light numbered numbers onto dark ones. So here's a light number 1, and it's going to get glued right on top of the dark one when we put it down on the cardboard. And the squiggly line just shows you that it's not complete right there. There's more to this over here. This is part of this other part of the template, which I'll cut out in 1 second. And this will get glued, this light 2 will get glued on top of the dark 2. So again, you start with the 3 template pieces of paper and a pair of scissors, and you're cutting just outside your line so that you can follow the lines with the knife blade. Keep in mind you don't have to cut out the hollow spots that we will use a knife to cut out. Just the outside of the template shape. So now that I have my template pieces cut out and I can still see all of my outside lines, I'm ready to do step 2, which is to glue down the template to the cardboard, and step 3 is to carefully cut the cardboard out with a utility knife. So for this step, you're going to need a glue stick to glue the template down to the cardboard. You're going to also need either a utility box cutter style knife or a X-Acto style knife. The X-Acto knife does tend to be a little bit easier to cut out some of these inside hollow pieces because the blade is much thinner. But the box cutter knife seems to do a better job at cutting out the outside of it with the outside shape. So I'm probably going to use a little bit of both. Now, the knives you have to be very careful with. These are very sharp blades. They're razor blades, and they will cut you. When you're cutting the cardboard, you want to make sure that you're not cutting towards your hand that you're holding the cardboard down with. You want to hold the cardboard away from where you're cutting, so you're cutting away from your hand. But I'm going to go ahead and glue these down, making sure that I'm gluing the light numbers on top of the dark numbers. So you're going to need a piece of cardboard that's going to accommodate this whole shape. Alright, so now I have my template glued down to the cardboard. One quick note about gluing the template down: make sure you don't have any edges that are flapped up. If you do, just add a little bit of glue to the corners, but you want to make sure you're gluing the edges of the template down just as well as the center so that it doesn't move as you're cutting. And also try to utilize the cardboard. Don't just try to put this whole shape right in the middle of this and then cut little pieces of cardboard. Try to use an end and work your way down along so that you're using as little cardboard as possible. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about cardboard is whenever you have an opportunity and you have a straight edge, like this little divider piece, put it and glue it along the edge of the cardboard. And I probably could have snuck this in over here or somewhere where I had a little bit more room, or even up in here, but I was just making this really quick. You can move it if you have glued down and you don't like where it's glued. You do have an opportunity to re-glue it. But when you're gluing, try to glue wherever there's a straight edge. Try to use the edge of the cardboard. And it doesn't matter if you have extra glue on the cardboard because we're going to be cutting that out. That's going to be scrap. So this straight edge, now I don't have to cut with the knife. I'm just going to cut around the outside of this. When you're cutting, you're going to use a cutting mat underneath yourself so that you're not cutting right on the table. You're going to hold the cardboard down with a nice firm grip. You're also going to use the blade and the knife carefully and try to cut just on top of your line. Okay, and if it's not exact, it's better to be outside your line so you still see your line. And just cut little by little. It's going to take possibly more than an entire class to cut out your whole shape. But notice I have my finger here when I'm cutting this way. I'm not holding my finger out here where I'm going to be cutting towards. Okay, so be careful. Also be careful with your with neighbors and people that are sitting next to you. Make sure you're giving yourself plenty of room, and just take your time because it's kind of tedious, especially some of the inside cuts you have to make. But take your time and cut it out as neat and as accurately as possible. I have plenty of templates. You can always do a new piece or a different piece if one doesn't come out. But the better and more accurate you cut the shape out, the better and nicer your cardboard will come out. Also, before this step, if you have to customize your design because you have a bigger phone than what this will accommodate, you may have to extend out some of these lines here and extend this whole thing so that you have it bigger. And anything you do to this rectangle right here will affect the size that it holds, but you also have to do that on this bottom piece down here. So if you make this an inch longer, you have to make this bottom piece an inch longer. But all the other pieces should line up and fit as you fold it up. This might also have to be a little bit larger to fit inside of a larger shape. So if you're going to extend this an inch, you're going to have to extend this out an inch. Okay. And the final step will be gluing, folding. All these lines are a crease, so we're going to crease this with a straight edge, and then we're going to glue it together with a hot glue gun.